Hey y'all, this is Teri. This is my becoming. Who is Teri? I am a woman of God. I am relaxed, love to just chill and kick it. I love taking pictures and photography. I get excited when I feel like I've realized something in the Word of God. I feel like I have a secret and I got to share it with the world. I love day trading and swing trading. I just love problem solving, and it feels like I'm solving puzzles when I'm trading. And it feels so good when I'm right, and then it sucks when I'm wrong, but hey, whatever. I am a daughter of a mom, and I grew up in a household with a mom and granny, and I just love being alive. It's really cool. So when I was in high school, I was set on being an architect. I love real estate, and I wanted to actually build subdivisions. But when I got asked to come to this program called LEAD, they took us up to a college. I went to Northwestern University, and they introduced us to business, and we got a chance to visit the Chicago Stock Exchange. While I was there, it just amazed me. I just fell in love. I was like, oh my God, all these people are making money. This is crazy. They showed us like the trading floor. I got to talk to traders. So I went back to my school in high school, and that was the year that Google was their IPO was coming out. And I told my grandmother, I was like, Granny, we got to get this stock. It's $83. Can you believe it? Google was $83 at the time. And I was like, we got to get this stock. And she was like, first of all, we ain't got no money. So that was first no. And then the other thing was we didn't even know where to start. I didn't know how to open a brokerage account. I didn't know where to get a share. So it kind of died until college. Went to MIT, and they actually had us I interned at Morgan Stanley. So that was my first introduction to stocks and the stock market. One thing that I wish people knew about me, well, many people don't know that my journey actually started in real estate. So I had always written in my journal that I would be a millionaire. That was my big dream. I wanted to be a millionaire by 40. Okay, honestly, it was a millionaire by 30, but when that didn't happen, I had to switch it to 40. And I thought that I would get there by being a real estate agent. At the time, for about 10 years, I was in education, but I also, as a side hustle, would help teachers relocate to Texas. And I got to a point where I was making like $50,000, $60,000 a summer helping teachers relocate. And I thought that I would just grow that out as a big business, and that would be my thing. Little did I know that there were other plans. I would become a millionaire in stocks, not in real estate. So honestly, I got into trading from a realtor that had told me that he was invested in AIG. This was back in 2010. The market had crashed, and I was looking for a real estate investment, but the realtor I was working with kept talking about how his stocks were doing so well. And I asked him a little more about it, and he said he had opened up an E-Trade account. So my first trade was a big flop because I opened up an E-Trade account, but I guess somehow I had put in the wrong address. So for about 3 months, they couldn't verify my account, and I just couldn't trade at all. So my first introduction was almost like a wait and see type of game. And then the thing I wanted to invest in at the time was Cisco, which also was a bit of a flop because I thought, see, it's one of those things where you think that certain companies are going to just take over the world, and they just don't. So in my mind, I was like, oh, Cisco, they're going to have these like Internet of Everything, and they're going to have cell phones where you can I had this whole thing in my head. Clearly, it did not work out. That trade sucked. I got into it. The stock fell. That was my first trade. So the first trade that I can really remember being like a turning point in my life was a trade in Chipotle, but I was doing it at my desk as an assistant principal in an elementary school. And the trade went so well that I made the same amount as my monthly salary as a principal. So I got into the trade that same day. It went to $3,000. And I remember my principal walking into the office, and I was just like, I'm looking at my computer, looking at him, looking at my computer. And in my head, I was like, say something. I just like, you know how you have that I wish you would say something crazy to me right now? That's what it was. So he walks in, and I think actually the computer said, like, it actually said, like, trade executed. He could hear it. I know he's not deaf. He could hear it. I could hear it too. But that was when I said, I just made as much in my trade as I would have made the whole month at this job. I can leave. Like, this was a moment where I knew I could have freedom from trading. The freedom of trading it's almost indescribable. It's that thought of, I won't have anybody tell me what to do. I don't have to answer emails if I don't want to. I don't have to get into a meeting if I don't want to. If I don't take this, I'm not gonna die. I'll be okay. For me, my big reason for trading was what I call crying in the bathroom. Every single day, either me or the other assistant principal, we would take turns crying in the bathroom. And it wasn't like we planned it, like, you about to go cry? No, but it was just a thing that happened. Like, I'd walk by the bathroom, I'd see her come out, her eyes were puffy red. Other times she'd come by my office, I'm sitting there bawling. And it was because just the stress and the weight of it all, like the job just took everything we had, and the environment was toxic. So just knowing that I don't have to answer to anybody, that's the freedom that trading gives to me. First day of freedom, it was very cool because I didn't have to actually look at my cell phone. So as an assistant principal, the first thing that I would do when I woke up was I would look at my phone and see what emails I had missed. Then I would look at my computer and have to get on there and think through all the things that my boss was about to ask me before he even asked me. And the first day where I had quit my job and was now about to just trade full time, I didn't have any of that. I could sleep in. I could just look out the window. And it was a little weird, to tell you the truth, because I kept looking at my phone thinking that new emails would pop up, and they weren't. So that's what the first day felt like. So I had signed up for this class at MIT, and it was an international business plan competition. But we ran it as the Sloan Business School. We ran international competitions. So my job was just to be the on-the-ground logistics. So I'd be in all the meetings, but I didn't have to really pay attention until I actually got on the ground. So I didn't know where we were going until we got in the plane. But our first trip was to the United Arab Emirates. So we got there, we were in this beautiful place that the country had actually provided for us because we were running the competition. And then I got to see just the whole new world in a different place, or in a different way. They're beautiful buildings. And then we went to Dubai and we saw the beautiful buildings there, and it was a different culture. So that's when I knew, like, this is awesome. But then from there, like my last semester of college, I didn't really graduate early, but I finished all my classes within the last semester of MIT. So I took my last semester in Spain, and I did international dancing. So I did Latin dancing, tango, salsa, and Spanish, which I had taken for many, many years, but still wasn't fluent. And then I did economics, actually, too. I did international economics when I was in Spain. So my last year was in Madrid, and every weekend we'd go to a different place. So I did my first solo trip to Venice, and just hopped on a plane, then did a train. And yeah, I just love the world. I love seeing new places. It makes me feel whole. When I'm abroad, I feel like I can be anyone that I want to be. When I'm here in the States, there's this like heaviness of the presidency, which is changing now, but there's always been like, oh, Trump and what he was doing, and then just politics, and then there's the racial difficulties and heaviness of being Black and what you can do versus what you can't do because of who you are. There just seems to be like all this heaviness. But when I go abroad, I feel like I can breathe. Like, it's like I just took this breath of fresh air, and I can be whoever I want to be. Because the good thing is, I ain't never going to see them again. So I can wear what I want to wear. My hair can be all over the place. Like, these people aren't going to see me again. And if they do, okay, well, you're welcome. Like, you just got to see me. There's this lightness when I'm walking the streets of a new place. And then I love seeing the other cultures. To me, I feel like in the States, we have this idea that we were the first and we're the only. But when I'm overseas, I see that like actually we're way behind. Like when I was in China, I saw so many big buildings. Like in Tokyo, there was like 3 of every skyscraper versus here, there's just one. But it's like they've been doing this so much longer than we have. So it just opens my mind to all of the possibilities of mankind in general. If you're afraid, I would say just do it. You got to step out on faith sometime. And so many of these other countries are so much better than us. I think we're afraid because we feel like we're going to go to something lesser. Like I don't want to leave the comfort of my home because I'm going to go to this third world country. But there's so many places like South Korea completely blew my mind. Like it's technology and it's built up and they're doing so many cool things. But you'll never know that if you don't step out of your bubble. Trade and travel started because I was lazy, honestly. So when I first left my job, I joined this it's called almost like a remote year, but it was for professionals. So we traveled around the world and we would go stay in one country at a time. So my first country was South Korea, and then my next country was Thailand, then Vietnam. Then I kind of left the group and went to Australia. But the thing was, while I was gone, the people in the group started asking me to teach them how to trade. And they kept asking for all these little coffee dates. Like, Teri, can we go to coffee? Teri, can we do this? And the truth is, I don't like coffee like that. So I finally said no. Okay, I didn't say it like that. I was like, okay, let me think about it. I was nice. I was really nice. I decided to put together a class so that I wouldn't have to do all these coffee dates. And I said, hey, we're going to get together at the local WeWork. Actually, I think it was a different co-working space, but it was a co-working space. I said, I'm going to do one class for you guys because so many of you guys have asked me. So did a class there and put together a presentation. It was intro to the stock market. Basic presentation. So did it, looked at their faces at the end, and they were like, we love it! Ah! And the cool thing is, though, I liked it too. So that was the part that kind of got me because I didn't think that I was going to enjoy teaching, but it was a subject I was so passionate about that it just kind of came out. Like it poured out of me. I wanted them to learn. I wanted them to get it. And then I just enjoyed it. But at the time, I still wanted to be by myself. I was like, you know what? That was a one-time thing. I'm glad you guys liked it. But they asked me to do it again. So I did a second version, and this time I was even more passionate. Well, I taught them one, though. I got to make sure that they're actually going to make money. So in Vietnam, I did another class. All the while, what I didn't know is that I was posting pictures about it on Instagram. And my friends in the States were starting to see my Instagram pictures. And so they're seeing me travel to all these beautiful places. They know that I'm affording it because I'm trading full time. So I get back home. And so now they're like, oh, we know you're going to do a class for us. It wasn't even a question. It was just, we know you're going to do one. Okay, get it together. Let us know. So I did a class here in the States. I did it in Dallas, and 71 people showed up. And that's when I knew, okay, this is a thing. And I had just heard a webinar where someone said, you don't have to have your whole course together in advance. Just let them know at the class that you have a course. And if anybody buys it, then you know it's something people want. So at the end of the class, I got my little courage together, said I have a class teaching people how to invest in the stock market. And y'all know 2 people signed up. That's how Trade and Travel started. So the class started with 2 people. And they had paid me, and I just said, I'm going to give them the best that I've got. And slowly, each month, it seemed like another person wanted to take the class. So this was May of 2018. And so by October, I had a full curriculum together, and I said, you know what, I'll just offer this as an online course and let's see how many people come. We had 30 people sign up. And so you don't know how excited I was for those first 30 people. I was like, oh my God, 30 people want to be in this class. So that's end of 2018, come into 2019. and it starts growing and growing and growing. I do some podcasts, I get on the radio, a couple other partners start telling people about the class, students start making money. Now they're seeing their gains and they're showing it to other people. By the end of 2019, I had over 1,000 students. And now it's almost the end of 2020. I have over 3,500 students who have taken the trade and travel course. And over 600 of them have made it into the $1,000 in a day club. So it's just grown like crazy. From 30 students to 3,500. When I hear the stories of my students, I know that this is God and not me. I truly know that this is something that God wanted more people to know about so that they could build wealth. And he just used me as a conduit. Like, how do I get my people to build wealth so that they can go out and impact the world? Well, I'm going to have Teri teach them. And once they learn, they're going to be able to build this wealth and start changing the world that they're in. And I can see it happening. So I see it in Ebony, who even while she's going through treatment, she's able to trade. And she said it's giving her motivation. I see it in my other students who lost businesses during COVID, but still are excited and able to prosper because they're actually making money even during a downtime. I see it in other students whose husbands have gotten furloughed or laid off, but now they're the breadwinner because they know this new skill set that's keeping their families afloat. So I'm seeing that this little thing that I thought, this knowledge that I had that I was going to keep to myself is now like a seed that is growing like trees in other people. I'm just planting seeds and they're growing. And that's what I know my purpose is. It feels so good to know that I have made mini-me's. So I have one student right now who is in Tulum and she's trading and traveling. She is living her best life. She just got an apartment. She signed the lease for 6 months and she's going to afford it by trading stocks. I have another student who's been paying for his kids' daycare and he's been able to actually like pay for this really cool private school. So now I'm actually impacting education of kids because they can afford it. Like, that is just cool. It's just cool. And then like now my students are actually making multiple six figures. I have one who just made $285,000 in a day. And I'm like, can I get some of that? I'm just saying, like, clearly I didn't charge enough for this knowledge. I'm just saying. I just feel elated. I feel like a proud mom, a proud teacher when I see my students doing well. I definitely feel like I'm walking in God's purpose for my life. I have always known that I would be funding ministries, but my first ministry is to pour into other people. And what I didn't realize is I thought that I'd be doing it by myself. But now that I'm spreading this knowledge, all of the people around me are now able to also pour into ministries. And I'm seeing that some of the students in my class are pastors and deacons and just doing really cool work for the world. And now they don't have to worry about money as much just because of the skill set. You know, the Lord actually sent somebody into my office one day when I was crying. And she told me, and like literally, she wasn't even supposed to be at my school that day. But she said, the Lord told me to drive here and tell you that what he has for you next is better than what you're doing right now. And I couldn't see it at the time because all I saw was the school. I saw my boss and the negative things that he would say. I saw just me not feeling like I was ever good enough because all the work that I do, there was always something wrong. But she told me what God has for you next is better than what you're doing right now. And that's what I would tell myself too. Looking back even just 2 years ago, when I was trying to please everybody else and fit into circles or boxes that weren't fit for me or weren't made for me, that what God has for you next is better than what you're doing right now. I want them to know that they can make money. It does grow on trees. Honestly, like when I think of the stock market, I'm thinking of using it as a way to pay your bills. Like not so much to retire on, but if you need something, you can raise your own capital from your account. If I want to start a business, I can go raise money in my trading account. If I want to pay for a new bill, I can go raise money in my trading account. For my student loans, I paid those off trading. I want them to know that there is this thing called the stock market, and you can use it to pay for your bills so that all of your work income or all of the other income that you bring in, you can do whatever you want with it. The world is open to you. If I was talking to a young girl right now who didn't believe that she could invest in the stock market, I would tell her that she has to learn how to walk on water. She has to learn how to have the confidence and the courage to step out of the boat. Then she has to learn how to actually take this first step. Don't look down, just walk. Because many times the stock market is going to feel like a scary place. It's going to feel like a place where you can drown, but there are ways for it to be successful, and you can do it, but you got to take the first step. My granny used to tell me that you should never do anything that makes you feel less than who you are. And when I was working in a corporate job and even in education, there were many times where I had to be in situations where I felt less than. And I would tell them, like, you are more than capable. You are more than enough. You are everything that God made you to be, which is perfect. One of the biggest things that I've learned on my trading journey is that you can use investing for income. And many times I think that's overlooked. The small bills like that $20 cell phone bill or the $200 car payment, those are small attainable goals that you can get from the stock market. It's about having a trading plan that includes risk management, includes knowing how to enter your stocks, but the key is just the mindset. You don't always have to wait for retirement in order to realize the gains of your profits. And that's something I think more people should know, that you can trade for income, and that's what we do as day and swing traders. Also, with this whole income thing, the whole thing of traveling, many people ask me, like, why is it called trade and travel? It's because I use trading to fund my dream, which was traveling. But you don't have to travel. You can trade to fund your dream, whatever is important to you. So if it's trade and pay off your student loans, trade and buy your own house, trade and have quality times with friends and family, that's what we're doing when we talk about trade and travel.